All right, so there's real football coming up. We're recording this Tuesday, September 2nd, so like 5 days out from the opener. 5, is that right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, about 5 days out from the 49ers opener in Seattle. And we have a depth chart that the 49ers released, and we're going to go through that depth chart and break it all down. So, Chris, you let me know where you want to start. I'll let you guide this, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I think we need to start with the receiving core because
totally disagree. Let's start at quarterback. So no, I'm joking. Go ahead.
it's been the most newsworthy position group, I think, of training camp. Obviously, Juwan Jennings returned to practice on Monday, and the Niners list him as a starter. One thing too, before we get going, this is compiled by the communication staff. This is not the coaching staff making their depth chart and giving it to the communication staff. I actually think there's little to no communication between public relations / communication staff
Probably
and the
on
coaching
purpose.
staff. Yeah, like there's no way Kyle Shanahan, like Kyle Shanahan likes Corey Rush, but he's not like, hey Corey, I got this depth chart hot off the presses for you. We got to make sure we blast this out so it can go wild on the Everything app.
And Corey's definitely not hitting Kyle like, hey, you got time to look over this depth chart?
Right. So this is
pause the film real quick.
This is basically just an estimation of what the depth chart's going to look like, and there are a couple things that are interesting about it that we wanted to talk about. But so when it comes to the receiving core, you have Ricky Pearsall listed as a starter, obviously. Juwan Jennings listed as a starter despite returning to practice just on Monday.
Yeah.
And missing basically, more than a month of training camp. You have Russell Gage still on here. He has reportedly been released. So he's not going to be on there. It sounds like Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to get promoted from the practice squad to the active roster. I'm guessing a handful of snaps. Like, I don't know, would 10 snaps for MVS sound right to you Sunday in Seattle?
Yeah. 10 to 15 feels right if I'm ballparking it. My guess is, given the state of their receiving core, we see a lot of multiple tight end looks from the 49ers where Luke Farrell can block and George Kittle can be that basically that third receiver.
So it kind of feels like there are going to be 4 receivers active on game day. I think it'll be Pearsall, Jennings, Gage, and Sky Moore, with Sky Moore being the punt returner.
And Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where I'm leaning. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a lot of 2 tight end, 2 running backs, like not a lot of 11 personnel.
Although here, so I want to pause on that real quick. So Jennings, Pearsall, Moore, and Valdes-Scantling are the top 4. And the reporting around the Gage release is that they're going to release him, and unless he signs with another team's active roster, they're going to get him on the practice squad and then promote him or elevate him on game day. Would they elevate him just for the game check and then make him inactive? Do you think?
Usually when they elevate guys, they play them.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm wondering. Maybe they promoted Valdes-Scantling because somebody was going to poach him off the practice squad, and so they put him on the active roster, and he'll be inactive on game day.
Not sure. It's probably has to do with bonus structure and salary cap machinations. So I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. I'd be curious if they have 5 receivers up. That 5th receiver is going to have to play special teams. And so I don't know how much Gage has played special teams. And MVS, obviously, being that he just got here, probably not super indoctrinated with special teams coach / assistant general manager Brant Boyer. But yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be one of the things to see. And is Jordan Watkins going to go on injured reserve? Is that going to be how you fill a roster spot, or allow Russell Gage to get to the active roster by filling the roster spot by putting Jordan Watkins on IR?
I kind of wonder, maybe, although I think they might kind of need Watkins, just given the youth and how well he was playing in camp before he got hurt. But The other part of me wonders if they'll go 5 receivers up on game day week 1 because Juwan Jennings has not been practicing. And so maybe it's just going to be a mix and match where Sky Moore is a special teams only guy, and Gage and Valdez Scantling and Jennings kind of rotate in as wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I do think that's a possibility.
Yeah. So on the offensive line, you have Trent Williams, left tackle, Ben Barch, left guard, Jake Brendel at center, right guard Dominic Pooney, right tackle Colt McKivitz. That's going to be the starting offensive line. The only question mark, I guess, would be Ben Barch, who just recently returned from the elbow injury. Connor Colby had been getting some time at left guard. I think Barch is going to start, assuming he's healthy.
Yeah.
But when you look at that group, I think the only possibility of those 5 not being the correct 5 is at left guard. But I still think Barch is going to be the guy.
I agree. Overall, just a small curveball here. Dominic Pooney is coming back from the knee injury. He did practice on Monday, but we don't get a practice report for participation until Wednesday, right? So if Pooney can't go week 1, it sounds like he's trending toward going. Kyle Shanahan sounds pretty confident he's going to go, but if he can't for whatever reason, if that knee just doesn't respond to practices the way they want him to, I would guess Connor Colby is the starting right guard. But on a game to game basis, yeah, I would be pretty shocked if this isn't the 5 all year.
Yeah. Tight end George Kittle, Luke Farrell, Jake Tonjes.
It's big for George. Good for him.
Yeah, happy for our guy. Luke Farrell, I'm curious to see, like, 3rd and 7. Are the Niners going to come out in, like, 12 personnel and have 2 tight ends on the field? And is Luke Farrell basically going to be an extra tackle? So George Kittle can actually go out and run routes on 3rd down instead of having to pass protect in, like, blitzing situations.
It probably just depends on how the game flow is going, right?
Yeah.
If the Niners just can't block anybody, then yeah, probably. I would assume that would be the move.
I think that's sort of, and you've talked about this a lot, even leading into other years. Like, is the pivot point?
Not wrong, just early.
Is the pivot point for the Niners offense going to be finally leaning into 2 tight ends more? I know they've utilized Kyle Juszczyk a lot, but he's getting up there in age.
Sure.
Do you go Luke Farrell to get George Kittle running more routes so he's a available pass catcher as opposed to staying in and pass protecting because your tackle situation isn't very good. The Niners tackle situation is fine for now, but we've seen George Kittle pass protect a lot in key situations because of injuries to Trent Williams or Colt McKivitz getting beat like a drum, like it's happened in the past.
Yeah. It sounds like that was the purpose of signing Farrell. It's why they gave him the money that he did. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all if you see week 1 Luke Farrell played 30 snaps. That wouldn't shock me one bit.
That concludes our Luke Farrell segment. Running back CMC,
on to Jake
Brian
Tonjes.
Robinson. Jake Tonjes, probably special teams guy. I'd be surprised if he got any snaps on offense. Running back CMC, Brian Robinson Jr., Isaac Orendo, Jordan James. Jordan James probably going to be inactive, hasn't practiced very much. I don't know what he does on special teams if he is active, so it feels like he'll be down. So the 3 halfbacks, CMC, Brian Robinson, Garendo, kind of interesting. It seems like he fell out of favor a little bit. It felt like the 49ers had some urgency to go get Brian Robinson Jr., which they haven't. It feels like they haven't really made a trade like that. Like, it didn't seem like there was a ton of faith in Garendo as training camp wore on.
Yeah, why would there be? I don't think he fell out of favor because he just wasn't there. and then he finally comes back, and then so he gets hurt, and then he finally comes back, and he hurts his shoulder covering a punt.
Sure.
I mean,
my question is, though, is it an injury concern, or is it we just don't know that this guy is an effective enough running back? Because I
think it's an injury concern.
Oh, I see. I think it, like, I definitely think that's part of it, but I think there's a concern that, like, no, he's not seeing it the way we need him to see it when he gets the ball, because he didn't look great running the ball when he had his opportunities in the preseason.
Sure. Yeah. I don't entirely. I don't know. I think it was probably more injury related than anything. I do think it'll be interesting to see on game day because you're right on Jordan James. He hasn't gotten a ton of action. He broke his finger right before joint practice with the Broncos, so about a month ago. And I think if in practice this week when they're doing special team stuff, if Jordan James is just kind of gets it, it wouldn't shock me at all if Garendo's the one who's a scratch on game day.
That would be interesting. Quarterback Brock Purdy, Mac Jones is his backup. Yeah, hope we don't see any Mac Jones this year. I prefer not to watch him play football.
Unless it's week 18 and they've got everything kind of sewn up. Yeah.
Right. If the Niners for whatever reason, have playoff seeding sewn up and we can get Mac Jones in the rivalry uniform, that would be peak comedy.
Oh God.
Especially with the rollout of the uniform and have Brock Purdy be in the photo shoot. Like we alluded to in our review of the uniform. If
or multiple reviews.
If there's a scenario where they've wrapped up playoff seeding, whether it's the division or the number 1 seed, and all the players that were in the photo shoot, George Kittle, Deommodore Lenoir, Brock Purdy, if all those guys sat out, that would be
perfect.
It would be peak comedy. So anyway, defensively,
I almost feel like there would be pressure from Nike and the league to not sit them. Like, can you start them for like a minute, like a drive?
Well, I mean, it's going to be funny too because I think they're going to sell a ton of those jerseys, and it's going to be Purdy, Kittle, like Warner, Bosa, like they're going to sell a lot of those jerseys. Right.
Yes.
And then there's like, in the off chance that the Niners do have seating wrapped up by week 18, none of those guys will even wear the uniforms this year.
Yeah. Anyway. Yikes.
Defensively.
I keep trying to scroll down on this and it's not working for me. Okay, here we go.
I can scroll, but there's nothing.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Nope.
IR. Okay.
I was really looking for the Curtis Rourke conversation, but that's cool. We can wait. We'll put a pin in it. Let's talk defense, whatever.
We got some time for that. Mykel Williams listed as a starter. Sure. No preseason snaps for him. Been on the shelf since I think that joint practice with the Broncos where he hyperextended his knee. Kalia Davis, Jordan Elliott, Nick Bosa. I mean, we got to talk Williams. I think he might be one of the players I'm most interested to watch because we literally haven't seen him do anything.
Is he the biggest defensive X factor for you?
Probably, because I think what they want to do defensively hinges so much on him. Like, they want to be better against the run.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it enough, but they were bad against the run last year, and improving against the run was a huge focal point for them from a personnel perspective.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things they liked about him a lot. Coming out of Georgia was the fact he could be an edge setter against the run and then be a pass rusher from the inside. He's basically going to have the Eric Armstead role, it seems like. So can he provide interior pass rush? Can he complement Nick Bosa? Are they running successful 2-man stunts on third downs, right? Like, can they do those things that we've seen the 49ers do throughout the years that made them so effective defensively? There's a lot of pressure on Williams, and not having preseason snaps, like, it might be that Bryce Huff plays a lot. Like, it might be that, Mykel Williams might only play like 40% of the snaps because he just hasn't gotten the reps and his conditioning isn't where it needs to be. And Bryce Huff is, Bryce Huff quietly, I think it was good for Bryce Huff that he had a really quiet training camp because it wasn't a scenario where like he practiced basically the entire month. And I thought he looked pretty good in the preseason games that he played. So I think Mykel Williams and Bryce Huff, 2 additions to the defensive line, 2 of the most important players in terms of like, if those guys are good, the defense has a much better chance of playing to the level that they need it to play at. If those guys aren't good, the Niners are going to have a hard time this season rushing the passer.
Yep. And I think the Bryce Huff pass rushing upside comes a lot from Nick Bosa being effective and Mykel Williams being effective as an interior rusher. I think a lot of Bryce Huff's success hinges on that. I wouldn't be shocked on the interior if Jordan Jefferson plays a lot. The player they claimed off waivers from the Jags. I mean, I'm sure they got Ethan Waugh in there, letting them know what the deal is with him.
Ethan Waugh just giving them the full scouting report.
Yeah, 100%. Like they could have turned on the tape, but they didn't. They said, "Let's call Ethan."
Do you think Ethan Waugh? But do you think before the Jaguars released Jefferson, Ethan Waugh hit up John Lynch or Kyle and was like, "Hey,
they're in a group chat.
Get this guy."
Yeah, they're in a group chat for sure. Yeah, okay. He sent him the list before it hit the transaction wire, so they could get a head start on.
Hey guys, just so you know, we got some news coming on the waiver wire here.
I didn't actually hear, but didn't, that the 49ers called the Jags and said, "Hey, we want to trade for Jordan Jefferson," and Ethan said, "I'll do you one better. You keep that draft pick."
Because Ethan Waugh obviously used to be a personnel executive with the Niners.
I guess that's a super deep cut if you're not if you're not a psychopath about this. Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you pay close attention to certain parts of 49ers coverage, you'd know what we're talking about.
Sure.
Kalia Davis, I'm kind of waiting for CJ West to unseat Kalia Davis. I think Jordan Elliott is probably pretty entrenched. But I think if you're a Niner fan, I mean, ideally, you'd want your second-round pick, Alfred Collins, to develop into a starter this year.
But let's be real. I doubt that's happening soon.
It kind of feels like we're going to get very little from Alfred Collins this year. This feels like a Aaron Banks of the defensive line situation.
Oh,
like Alfred Collins might be good, but it might be that he's not like a helpful player until year 2. At least that's kind of what I got watching him in the preseason. He just seemed like very far away, like very potentially talented, but just not somebody who's like feels like a plug and play rotation piece. At least someone that you'd want in your rotation right now. Is that fair?
I agree. Yep.
Okay. Yeturgos Matos probably not going to be active. I don't know. I would honestly be surprised if he was active. Apparently, he was practicing. He returned to practice this week. Had missed all of training camp. Off-season knee injury. Was wearing a big old brace on that knee. I just have a hard time envisioning Yetur having a significant role in week 1 after like no training camp.
Until that dude's healthy, sure. Like, I got to see him play more than 4 games.
And it might be they, decide like, all right, we're going to bring you back. You'll practice for a few days. We'll see how you feel after practicing. If you need like an extended time, if it's clear, like we'll just put you on IR and then we'll get you geared up for October. Sure. Like that. Yeah. I think that's a reasonable scenario for him.
My guess is that's probably why he came off PUP, is so they had that option.
Yeah, I would agree. Linebacker Luke Gifford, they list as a starting Sam. Fred Warner, D. Winters. I mean, the obvious thing
I don't have a lot here.
Is, I think at some point it feels like Nick Martin could unseat Luke Gifford. I think Luke Gifford was on the team because he's a solid special teams player. And maybe he's a solid Sam linebacker. Boyer just throwing his weight around. That's at some point Nick Martin is going to be playing. I guess it's just in what capacity and in what role. I don't know if he's a natural Sam. He's more of a natural Will, but that might not be till next year.
I wonder if he's a little small to play the Sam. Tatum Bethune taking over that spot wouldn't shock me that much. But that's where Luke Gifford played and started in the preseason. So, I mean, it's what 25% of the snaps or whatever it is.
I have an early take. Okay. I have an early take. It's not fully formed. It's been in the oven for a little bit.
Okay.
It's not ready yet. Not at temperature.
Stick a toothpick through it. Realize it needs more time. Okay.
Right.
Very good.
Is Tatum Bethune one of the more underrated Niners defenders who hasn't taken the leap yet? Like I kind of liked what I saw from him. I feel like if we look up midway through the year, and then it's like, oh, this is kind of like Azeez Al-Shire. Like, remember Azeez Al-Shire, Tatum Bethune 7th round draft pick last year. Azeez, an undrafted rookie or an undrafted free agent who ended up, becoming a really good NFL linebacker. kind of getting similar vibes from Tatum.
Okay.
Again, not a fully formed take. Just it's in the oven. It's been marinated.
It's more possible with Robert Saleh in the building, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. The linebacker, I'm pretty optimistic.
I think Bethune and Martin can both play.
Yeah. Like if they had injuries, I wouldn't really feel terrible about Martin or Bethune.
I agree.
Getting time,
unless it was Fred Warner. Then I would feel like, ooh.
Yeah, that would be tough.
You don't think Tatum Bethune is Fred Warner yet? Why do you hate Tatum Bethune?
Not quite there yet. Cornerbacks: Renardo Green, Diamador Lenore.
Boy,
Upton
that depth.
Stout listed.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Upton Stout listed as the starting and only nickel. Chase Lucas isn't listed as a nickel. Chase Lucas. I mean, I was surprised he made the roster. I mean, good on him. He played well in the preseason. I think him making the roster kind of speaks to the lack of great options they had on the outside. Mm-hmm. And Lucas, I guess, showed out well enough, even though he's not going to be the starting nickel. But yeah, do you have any doubt that Upton Stout is going to start as a nickel?
No, and I think the reason there's not a backup nickel is because that'll be Lenore or Green kicking inside if Stout can't go. I wrote a piece today at Niners Wire that I talked about the things that needed to happen for the Niners to go back to the playoffs or make a deep playoff run. Mm-hmm. And man, Upton Stout playing 17 games is on that list. A, because it would mean he's healthy, and B, it would mean that he's good enough to continue playing there. We saw Samuel Womack grab that starting nickel job as a rookie in week 3. He was out of there and is no longer on the team. So that's a really big deal. I think as interesting as Michael Williams will be to watch, I think Upton Stout is right there with him in terms of really important first-year players.
Agreed. And I was really encouraged by, talking to the beat reporters offline and, reading the quotes and things like that. Like, Upton Stout seems like kind of a dude. Like, I don't think it would surprise anybody who's covered training camp or been around the team if Upton Stout turned into like a core piece moving forward, like a good player. So we'll see. That's an interesting thing for sure. Safeties, Jason Pinnock. Your guy, Jair Brown, listed as a starter over Marquise Siegel.
Look, man, that I hope that's not the 49ers move. I think Marquise Siegel needs to play. I do too. And if the theory of this season and of this roster build is that the young guys will play and get better, and by the time December and January rolls around, they'll be able to contribute at a championship level, then you have to play the young players. I get not starting Alfred Collins. I get not starting CJ West. They're going to rotate in. They're going to get their snaps. And like you said, ideally one or both of them will eventually become a starter. But as a third safety, you're not going to play. At least not any meaningful snaps. Mm-hmm. So to me, Marquise Siegel has to start unless they think that he is just not a good football player, in which case fine. But I don't think that's the case based on what we saw in the preseason, certainly in the reports coming out of camp that the preseason games looked a lot like practices did. I think Siegel has to play unless they think that Jair Brown is an all-pro in the making, which I don't see. There's not a huge excuse to not play Siegel.
I think if there's any spot on this entire depth chart where the communication staff might have made a mistake, it's listing Brown as a start over Siegel.
Yeah.
I do think
and they might just defer to the veteran in that case.
Right. They just might be like, yeah, we don't know. We're not sure. We're just going to Jair Brown's been here.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Maybe Corey or Peter, whoever compiled this thing, heard something from somebody and Jair Brown did in fact beat out Siegel, but I would kind of be surprised. I always kind of lean towards like if there's a change in the coaching staff or any sort of regime change and you bring in a player that plays a very specific style and it contrasts with the player who was already there, who was brought in under a different regime, I just give the advantage to the younger player, the guy who just got here. And Marquise Siegel was brought in to play Robert Saleh's defense. Jair Brown was brought in to play Steve Wilkes' defense.
Right.
So I'm giving the edge to Siegel. So yeah. How
much Moody, do you think? Oh,
still on the team.
Starting
kicker.
Look at him go.
Starting kicker, Jake Moody. Your thoughts?
He is a kicker, for sure. Just out there kicking. Hey, how much do you think Brian Robinson Jr. plays?
That's an interesting one. Like, logically, you'd say, hey, take 15 snaps off Christian McCaffrey's shoulders, right?
Sure,
like,
right.
The Niners for the Niners to make a deep run to the playoffs and potentially get to the Super Bowl, you need Christian McCaffrey to be in peak form in January. And I think Brian Robinson is good enough to where the offense can remain effective if he's getting 15 to 20 snaps a game. And Christian McCaffrey's, not getting 25 touches a game as much as, fantasy people like myself, who I have Christian McCaffrey on 2 fantasy teams. Fantasy people might not love to hear that, but I don't know. It could go either way. I think logic says give Brian Robinson 15, 20 snaps a game. What is probably going to happen is we're going to look up and Christian McCaffrey is going to play like 96% of the snaps and only come off the field after like running a deep route and doesn't get the ball or something.
So this is, I think I agree, because that's what we've seen. Every time we're like, oh, hey, maybe with Isaac Guerrero now or Jordan Mason, they'll run multiple running backs. And they just haven't. They've not done that. But they've also, as you alluded to earlier, never made a trade like this. Yeah. Where right before the preseason ends, they're like, yeah, hey, you know what? We need a running back. We're going to give up a draft pick in next year's draft to go get this guy. Like, this wasn't a random they claimed off waivers. This wasn't Israel Abanikanda. Like, this is a player who was available, a starter who was available, that the 49ers went, hey, we would like to go get that guy. Instead of waiting to see if he gets cut and waiting to see what... No, they purposely got Brian Robinson. I can't imagine they did that so Christian McCaffrey could play 95% of the snaps. I refuse. If that's the case, man, Kyle Shanahan needs help. I'm so serious. There's at this point with Christian McCaffrey's injury stuff, with his age, there's no reason he should be getting 23 touches a game again.
I agree with you, but honestly, a big part of it is Christian McCaffrey has to be willing to run off the field. Like if Christian McCaffrey, like they can make all the motions. Like Bobby Turner can be like, "Hey, CMC, come on over. Like we're gonna put B-Rob in," and if he just is in the huddle, like that's just kind of it. So it's gonna take a level of Christian McCaffrey being like, "Yeah, I should probably ease up a little bit on the gas pedal."
A level of Christian McCaffrey not being selfish. Be a team guy and understand that this is about bigger than you, number 23. This is about winning a championship. Just a 6th championship.
Just being.
Do you want to be a legend, Christian?
Okay.
Then come off the field.
Is Christian McCaffrey a Hall of Famer?
Right now?
Right now.
No.
I think if he puts up one more year like he had in 23, I think he is.
Do you know how his best chance to get there?
Let Brian Robinson play 15 snaps on Sunday.
Let Brian Robinson have 15 snaps on Sunday, man. It's all. Anyways.